What's up, world? Welcome to Cage Minds. I'm your host, Micah. Today, a huge day for us. A day we've all been waiting for. We're talking about UFC on Fox 1. This is the biggest moment potentially in the history of the UFC. This is the time that the whole sport gets its first view into the mainstream. Network television. Congratulations to Dana White, the Fertittas, everyone in Zuffa and the UFC. I know you're really ecstatic about this, and I'm ecstatic about the fights that are going to go on. A little upset that only one is being played on Fox, but the other 9 on Facebook will be able to view them. They put together a stat great card for this, and we all know it's featured by the Cain Velasquez Jr. Dos Santos heavyweight title fight, which we're hoping will be the greatest heavyweight title fight in all of combat sports history, which would really put mixed martial arts on the map. There's 10 fights. We're going to do 10 predictions. We'll get right to it. We're going to start with the first one. It's the 16-4 Erin Rosa doing battle with Matt the Duke Lucas, who has a 14-2 record. Erin Rosa, he comes in with this being his second experience now in the octagon. His first one was a slugfest, a great fight. He was on the losing end of it to Joey Beltran, who did take him down, beat him up, ended up getting a TKO finish in that fight. His opponent, Matt Lucas, is making his debut in the UFC. Rosa has been in Strikeforce before, some other prevalent organizations. I'd give him a giant experience factor, more than just from their records, how many fights he's been in. He's been in bigger promotions, tougher fights. Really taking some account that Lucas, I don't have much respect for his record. The combined record of the last 4 guys he's fought have had way more losses than wins to themselves. Rosa has a better stand-up game, a better submission game, a more versed mixed martial artist. It'll be interesting to see how he goes from being a 260-pound heavyweight to how he looks at a 205-pound light heavyweight on the scales. For Matt Lucas, he's been in the middleweight, light heavyweight, and in the heavyweight weight classes. He has a good wrestling ability. If Lucas is going to win this fight, he's going to do it with ground and pound, octagonal control, and relying on his wrestling abilities. Any other way that this fight ends, and I'm seeing it go Erin Rosa. I think Erin Rosa is going to be able to have more prevalent stand-up than Lucas has ever seen. He's going to land a big shot, take this to the ground, and hit a rear naked choke in the second round. More experience, more tricks of the trade. I think he's more well-rounded. Take Erin Rosa to have a submission victory, second round rear naked choke. Second fight we're talking about. Mike Pierce, who has a 12-4 record, is going to do battle with Paul the Gentleman Bradley, who has a 18-3 record. This is going to be the second time these guys fight. First time in the UFC, they fought in a smaller regional promotion prior, as where Bradley won that via a split decision. Pierce won that via a split decision. Bradley, since then, has been on the regional circuit a little more, so he has more fights to his record. They were both about the same spot in their career the first time they did battle. They're both kind of cut from the same mold. Both guys are short and stocky, good wrestling capabilities. Primarily, their stand-up is based off of their boxing. When you get down into really breaking down the two fighters, the stronger, more muscular guy is Bradley. The guy with the more movement is Bradley. Something that we saw in his last fight. Mike Pierce has kind of been tending to wing shots from his hips, not really throwing with perfect technique, not using as many kicks as I saw from videos in his younger day. I think this fight is going to be an exact replay of the first time they fought. You can check that out on YouTube. This fight, though, the only difference, I think, is we'll see just that improved movement from Paul Bradley. I think he's going to take the split decision in his favor this time. This is splitting hairs, really close to call. Both fighters are nearly the same guy, same kind of game plan, great stamina, wrestlers. We should see a striking fest from 2 wrestlers then, giving the split decision victory to Paul Bradley. Next fight we're moving on to, a bantamweight battle between Bruce Leroy Karasis, who has a 5-4 record, going against Cole Escovedo, the Apache Kid, who has a 17-8 record. I'm going to look for fireworks in this fight. Both of these guys are guys that would love to stand up, trade, use their mixed martial arts abilities with their stand-up, their Muay Thai, their kickboxing. Neither one has been able to do that as of recently, taking on wrestlers being put on their back. We know both guys have long limbs for their weight classes, good dexterity, good triangles, but I see this fight staying stand-up because neither one of them is going to be the wrestler that's going to take this to the ground and push this against the cage. I think we'll see a stand-up battle. I still have faith in the talent and the potential of Bruce Leroy. I think he's going to be victorious in this fight. Also, Escovedo, who's been on a slide as of late, there hasn't been a real great reason that I've seen from anyone, injuries or etc., as to why Escovedo's been on the slide. I think it continues, and I think we see a knockout in the first round. I'm thinking Bruce Leroy, now that he's fought from all the way lightweight down to bantamweight now, 20 pounds lighter, I think we'll really see his speed, not any threat of the wrestling, and he'll put on a show for us with the first round knockout. Next fight we're going to go to Mackenzie, the Menace Semenzar, who has an 8-3 record, takes on Robert Problems Peralta, who's 15-3. Semenzar is going to be more aggressive, a member of Team Kern. He's just a pit bull. He's not going to let Peralta get the leg kicks off and have the stand-up and the trading that Peralta was able to do against Mike Luo. Mike Luo, though, did give me some perspective for this fight. I could see that his takedowns and his aggressive grappling was effective on Peralta into the later rounds. That was after Luo was already injured from leg kicks and tired. I think Semenzar is going to come in more aggressive. He's a good jiu-jitsu guy, but an even better wrestling guy. He's going to use the aggressiveness, cut off the strikes, not allow Peralta to get up. He's going to take this to the ground, turning into a grappling match, and I see Semenzar walking away with a unanimous decision because Peralta is just a little too slick, I think, on the ground to get himself caught in a submission. So I'm taking Mack and Semenzar in a unanimous decision. Next fight we're going to Nerfume Kid Yamamoto, who's 18-4, is going to do battle with Dern Yauman. I probably murdered his last name. I am incredibly sorry about that. Have not heard it pronounced yet, though. Kid Yamamoto, his second time in the octagon. We probably saw one of the fastest fights we've ever seen in the UFC the first time he was in there. Not fastest for how long it lasted, but fastest in the amount of movement that him and Demetrius Johnson did all around that octagon. He has good power. He's been on a slump as of late, loser of 3 of his last 4, but he did have one spectacular knockout in those wins. His opponent, Dern, who has the 6-3 record, comes also from fighting overseas in Japan, not too much so far in the United States. I don't know if he's actually fought in a cage that often. I know he has good Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He's a little maniac too, right on top of it, aggressively pushing the action, looking for his submissions. He has been decisioned. He has been stopped, though. He has even been stopped due to a submission himself, being a good submission expert. I think that Kid Yamamoto, he's coming off of a knee injury. It's been over a year and a half now. As we saw from Shogun Rua, it kind of takes some time to recover and rebound from these kind of injuries. If he doesn't recover or rebound now, I'll believe even more in that Japanese curse with another Japanese fighter fighting in America for the UFC. They don't seem to do that prevalent, but I'm going to pick him. I think Kid Yamamoto's knee will be good enough. I think he's going to come out crazy with the strikes, get Dern into a striking fest, and end this with a second round TKO, if not a knockout. So we're picking Kid Yamamoto to rebound in his second UFC fight. Next fight, we got DeMarcus, the Darkness Johnson, who's 17-9. We'll take on Clay Heavy Metal Harvison, who's 9-4. Both of these guys, alumni from the Ultimate Fighter show. Both have had their ups and downs, really looking to stick a notch in their career, represent themselves, present themselves, and let everyone know that where they are in the welterweight division. I think we're going to primarily see a striking battle between these two men, as neither one has the spectacular takedowns. We know from watching Clay Harvison, he'd rather stand up and trade. Johnson is usually happy to oblige. This, just for both men wanting to oblige and give us this kind of striking battle, is a potential fight of the night candidate, because I don't see either man shooting him for the takedown. I think that Harvison's going to get the best of this battle and get a TKO in the third round. We're going to take Clay Harvison. Both men about the same skill set. Harvison is just a little bigger. Johnson has a little better ground game, but the size of Harvison I don't think will allow it to get to the ground. The strikes will definitely put on a show. I think Harvison finishes Johnson off. We'll move on now to a featherweight battle between Cub Swanson, who's 15-4, and Ricardo, the Bully Lamas, who's 10-2. Cub Swanson training with Team Jacksons. We all remember him being in highlights from he got double-kneed by Jose Aldo and taken out. He has a good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game. Since being in Albuquerque, his striking is coming together, training with John Winklebaum, good well-rounded mixed martial artist. His opponent, Ricardo the Bully Lamas, wrestling background. He's a ground and pound guy, strong hands in his stand-up and his boxing, one-shot knockout power. I see these men standing and trading. Probably Lamas is going to try to come in and shoot for the takedown. It'll be up to Cub Swanson in his takedown defense, and also to see how improved his striking capabilities have become. From what I've seen, though, of Lamas, I think he's just going to be too strong, too powerful. He's going to achieve takedowns. He's going to get on top. He's going to look for the ground and pound. I'm looking for another third-round TKO. I think he'll finish off Swanson with strikes, but that night I'll probably be cheering for Cub Swanson, a member of Team Jackson's. Hopefully that'll be an exciting fight. Next one, a big fight in the featherweight division. Dustin the Diamond Poirier, who's 10-1, takes on the Scarecrow, Pablo Garza, who has a 12-1 of his own record. I'm seeing this fight being a long battle. Pablo Garza is a 6'1" featherweight, fighting at 145 pounds. He's used to having a pretty dominating and controlling reach advantage over every opponent. Poirier, who's actually in the height region, 3 inches shorter, shares the same reach. So that enjoyment that Garza usually had in his advantage of the reach is not going to be there. Poirier, I think, is the much more dangerous striker, much more elusive striker. Also, from Garza's last battle in the octagon against Yves Edwards, everyone can see that leg kicks have a tremendous effect on him. I think that Poirier is going to get in there. He's going to work the strikes. He's not going to go to the ground. He'll do some takedowns, wash off just to steal the rounds and let his striking talk for himself. I see this fight going all the way to the decision. I think Dustin Poirier is just going to be that much better than Garza in every realm of the mixed martial arts game and take a unanimous decision victory. Now we go to what would be the co-main event of the night. It's the Facebook prelims main event. It's Clay the Carpenter Guida with his 29-8 record, taking on Ben Smooth Henderson, who has a 14-2 record. This is the battle of the hair, people. This is probably the fight for the #1 contendership in the lightweight division. Got the wild man, Clay Guida, and his non-stop, relentless pace, his consistent attack of grappling, his fearless attitude. Looks like the caveman, has the head to take the hits like the caveman, has not been finished due to strikes in his mixed martial arts career, only been out-decisioned and submitted. Ben Henderson. We know Ben Henderson for being able to take a hit of his own. He was able to take the Showtime kick from Anthony Pettis. He's been through 2 spectacular wars and on the victorious side of them with Cowboy Donald Cerrone, and we've seen how impressive he's been in his UFC career. And also, let it all speak for itself. At UFC, Lytle versus Hardy, everyone saw the domination, the best performance of Ben Henderson's career as he was able to out-grapple and just beat up Jim Miller. The hype for this fight should be intense. I mean, this is definitely credible and should be on Fox TV. It's not. It should be a good fight anyway. I don't know if we'll see that much striking. The striking, I'm giving a slight advantage to Henderson. Experience, I don't know if you could really take anything away from everything Henderson's already been through in his mixed martial arts career, but Guida gets a slight advantage there. As far as the grappling goes, a slight advantage for Clay Guida in the wrestling, but the submission game, I'd say, is more prevalent towards Henderson. He's also been in there with such good guys like Jim Miller and beat him in that grappling game. Just on instinct alone, I gotta say that the better striking, the better scrambling ability, and the better just all-around getting himself out of these crazy bad predicaments with his just never willing to give up attitude, I think Ben Henderson's going to surprise the world, come out here, and I'm going to give it a split decision victory because I can't think of saying unanimous for this one. So Ben Henderson. Next fight now, the one we've been waiting for, the World Heavyweight title fight. Cain Velasquez, who's 9-0, versus JDS, Junior Dos Santos, nicknamed Sagano, who's 13-1. Both have good striking. We know Cain Velasquez with his kickboxing against Muay Thai. Junior Dos Santos with his boxing. Striking, I can't pick a favorite. I guess I'd have to go with Cain Velasquez in the striking just because he uses the knees, the elbows, and the kicks more prevalently than Velasquez, but more prevalently than Junior Dos Santos. But Dos Santos has the better punching power, the better punching pedigree, and the better punching style. But I think he doesn't use enough speed punches. He goes for the power too much. Cain mixes it up a little more, uses more combinations. So I'd say just overall complete striking game, I got to give the mark to Cain Velasquez. As far as we go with the striking, again, it's cutting hairs. It's very close. I think I like Cain Velasquez more. He's had Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training, and he's a very good wrestler, as to where JDS is just a very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. I think unanimous decision, Cain Velasquez. I'd hope to see the fight end with strikes, but like I said, everything is just so close. I don't know which way to call it. I'm going with Cain Velasquez to win this fight. So, on that note, we're going to walk through those winning picks one more time before we get out of here. Erin Rosa, I'm taking with the second round, rear naked choke. Gentleman Paul Bradley, I'm going to go split decision. Alex Karasis, I'm going to take a first round TKO. Mack and Simmons are to unanimous decision. Kid Yamamoto with a second-round knockout. Fight Harvison, a third-round TKO. Ricardo Lamas, a third-round TKO. A unanimous decision for Dustin Poirier. And Ben Smooth Henderson with a split decision. Our world champion, I think, will still remain to be Cain Velasquez with a unanimous decision victory. Micah, this has been Cage Minds. Thank